10. According to Jonathan Grant, in his book Divine Sex, we as a society have encouraged powerful sexual scripts that shape the narrative world in which modern relationships unfold. We have, for instance, put our confidence in sex but lost our faith in marriage. He goes on to say, this cultural environment makes the Christian vision of sexuality and marriage seem naive or unreasonable, or at least unworkable as a real-life philosophy, even for many Christians. Tragically, the church has absorbed many of the same perspectives and has come to reflect their surrounding culture rather than transform it. For many, premarital sex, cohabitation, divorce and multiple marriages, polygamy or polyamory, and so forth are no longer held accountable to the ideal established by God that marriage is a lifelong union between one man and one woman. In our culture, all the states of affairs are justifiable without reference to traditional marriage. But marriage is God's idea. We read in Genesis chapter 2 that God brought the woman to the man, one man and one woman, and said to the man, or the man said to her, and to God, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. For this cause a man shall leave his father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And the man and his wife were both naked and were not ashamed. The definition of marriage, the ontology of marriage, if you please, what marriage is revealed in this passage of Scripture. By definition, marriage is characterized by two conditions: a covenant commitment and a one-flesh union. The covenant commitment is a public transfer of loyalty and allegiance from mother and father to spouse. This commitment is sealed by vows and characterized by lifelong fidelity. A one-flesh union, which incorporates every aspect of intimacy and interdependency, culminates in and is rehearsed in sexual intimacy. And that pictures perfectly two people perfectly fitting together. Where these two conditions are met, you have a marriage. Because of the nature of marriage as designed by God, it is the context for sexual expression and fulfillment between one man and one woman. Moreover, marriage is the context for procreation and child-rearing. The fidelity of covenant vows and the intimate relationship of the one-flesh union are designed by God to bless men and women, and also to allow children to flourish in the safety of a stable home. This week, as you read and reflect on marriage and the breaking of marriage, take seriously what Jesus said about this creation ordinance. What God has joined together, let no one separate. On a more positive note, as you read this week, keep this question in mind. How can we participate alongside God in creating, nurturing, and preserving marriages that reflect God's intent for this holy covenant and that last for a joyous lifetime? And if you happen to be married, my prayer is that your marriage itself would reflect God's plans and purposes for marriage. Have a great week.